Drop it. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Drop the Digibomb TV. And in this episode, we're going to talk about a very simple way that you can calculate social media ROI. Yes, there is social media ROI. I know that you hear a lot of stuff online about how you can't really calculate the ROI of social media. Well, that's bull. You can't. And I can't sit here and lie and say that there wasn't a time where I believed the same thing too. I spouted the same kind of misleading information to a lot of clients that I worked with and to a lot of brands that I worked with, saying that, well, you can't really calculate the ROI of how much somebody likes you or trusts you or what the loyalty is of those fans and how you build a community, etc., etc., etc. And I'm not going to go into that whole thing right now, but I just would like to say that unfortunately there is a lot of misleading information out there today, steering brands in the wrong direction, where they're spending all this money on social media campaigns and they're not really getting the results they want, and they're wasting their money. And the thing is, it's because they're just not doing it the right way and they're not really thinking about how they can calculate social media ROI. So I'm going to make this video really quickly. I was inspired by an article I read by Eric Deckers, and I'll stick the link into the description afterwards. But I'm just going to quickly walk you through a very simple way you can measure social media ROI based on the amount of money you spent and the amount of traffic you got and what social channels you used, etc. And I'm not going to go into anything else about how to do it and best practices, etc. Just a simple formula. Okay, so here's the thing. Calculating the ROI of anything is very easy. All you need to do is subtract how much you spent, okay, and then how much you made, and you minus those two numbers from each other. It's very simple. So for example, if you spent $10,000 on a social media marketing campaign and you made $50,000, then your social media ROI is $40,000. Simple. 50,000 minus 10,000 equals 40,000. There's your social media ROI on how much you spent. But let's take a look a little bit deeper at whether or not sales are actually coming from your social media efforts. So step by step, things you should do in the very beginning. The first tip I'm going to give you, and it's not just Eric who says this, it's many people who say this, and I say this too, and this is something I always talk about, is that yes, there is a social media ROI, but you can't determine that initially because it is a huge variable, especially the first time you're running a certain kind of campaign with a community that you may have not done this before. You don't know what that return is necessarily going to be. It's very difficult to just set a target. Like, for example, you should never say we want 1 million people to follow us by the end of the year. That is unrealistic, especially with the community you don't really know that well yet, who you haven't really spent a lot of money on, and you haven't tried a lot of campaigns on to figure out what the initial ROI is in terms of how you can grow that community and how you can eventually convert those community members into spenders. Because the point is, in the end, as a brand, it's about the bottom line. If you're spending money, you need to make money. It's great to have people love you. It's great to have fans. It's great to have signups. It's great to have ambassadors and people love you and trust you and on and on and on and on. But we're in the business to make money. And that's the point. And we can do this without, ruining our community either, and without ramming marketing down their throat. And you can check out some of my other videos on how to do that kind of stuff. Okay, so the basics. Set up a Google Analytics account. It's free. Install the code on every one of your pages, on your blog, everywhere. This way you have a way of actually monitoring traffic. Set up a Bitly account, okay? A Bitly is a URL that's a shortener. It actually takes a long URL, makes it a small little URL, okay? But it also allows you to track how many people have clicked on that URL. So it's a great way to see how many people click on something when you send a link out there. You can create Google Analytics tracking campaigns. So basically these are special kinds of links that you can measure in various different ways, similar to like Bitly. And secondly, you always want to have a call to action in every one of your blog posts, tweets, Facebook things that are sending people back to a POP, point of purchase. So you don't just make a commercial and expect people to come back to your standard URL, right? You make a commercial, create a special URL for that campaign, and send people to that URL so that you can track how many people paid attention, watched your commercial, took the extra step to go back to the campaign's website. And then on that website, you can have all sorts of marketing information in terms of that campaign. videos, graphics, content, maybe give them a download, give them a coupon for 10% off that product, right? Then you can track how many people downloaded the coupon. Then months later, you can track what the redemption rate is on that coupon, right? So there's lots of ways to track people. So based on what we just talked about, here's the simple formula. You send out a link on a blog post, on Twitter, on Facebook, okay? Let's say 10,000 people see that link on various counts. 1,000 people visit your webpage from the blog post, all within a 6-hour span. So within 6 hours, 1,000 people, okay, have visited your page based on the link that you sent out. Of that 1,000 people, 100 people actually make a purchase with a total of $10,000 in sales. Those 100 people also fill out their contact information, which gets placed in your CRM. So right here, you're creating a direct flow. You have a marketing campaign, you have a strategy, a way that you can measure all of these numbers. You're pushing people in a certain direction so that you can track it and correlate your social media spend with actual sales. So looking at these numbers, you can now determine a few different things. So 1,000 visitors out of 10,000 social media followers, fans, friends, etc. That is a 10% click-through rate. Think about it. 1,000 people out of 10,000 people came to your site. That's a 10% click-through rate. You now have hard data. You've now been able to measure that 10% of the reach actually came to your website. 100 people, okay, purchased something out of those 1,000 visitors. So that's a 10% close rate, okay? And out of a 10,000 person network, so that initial 10,000 person outreach, that's a 1% close rate. So now you've been able to create a campaign, track that campaign, and then get some concrete numbers on how many people actually bought something in the end. And then you can base that on what you actually spent, okay? So by looking at the entrance and exit paths of the particular 6-hour period or particular day, right, you can see that the majority of people were moved enough by the blog post to go directly to a page where they purchased something or in store to purchase something. And then you compare that to other blog posts, which only led maybe 30 people to buy something out of 1,000 visitors, right? So you ran another campaign when you got 30 instead of 100. And now you know what's effective and what's not effective, what people act on and how people move and the best way to sell your product, right? So you can then subtract the cost of that particular campaign from the amount of money that you made to calculate the total ROI per day, per week, per month. It's really, really simple math, and there's a lot of great tools out there that can help you do this. And at the end of the day, you need to be able to track and measure your social media spend, especially if you want to keep your job. Because I tell you one thing, at the end of the year, at the end of a quarter, your boss is going to want to know what you spent $30,000 on. Because if there was no benefit and you can't show them that it's made some kind of an increase or that it's just as good, if not better, than traditional media, you're out the door, and so is the social media. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from that. I hope you see that there really is a social media ROI out there, and there's ways to track everything. In fact, you can ROI a business meeting. You can ROI a phone call. You can ROI how you tie your shoelaces. You can ROI anything. So drop the Digibomb TV. Make sure to follow me at Digibomb on Twitter. I'll see you all on the flip side. And that was my episode. So take it easy and see you all soon.